Just a quick disclaimer, I realize this isn't like the other content on my channel, but I do just want to kind of talk about it. And in the future, I probably will put out other videos similar to this that aren't just strictly gaming related, but I just find them interesting, so I just want to talk about it. 200 billion. 200 billion is the amount of tweets that are sent out each year on Twitter. Although it's just a rough estimate, it is probably somewhere in the ballpark. These tweets can range from either just small little stupid 2-word comments all the way up to entire discussions about topics or current events. You are currently allowed 280 characters per tweet. Before November 2017, you were only allowed 140 characters. The original purpose of the tweet was to kind of get short messages out with groups of friends or people or just to the general public. Almost like a alternative to text messaging. I don't think anyone back in 2006, when Twitter was originally created, could even think of the effects that it would have on not only social media, not only on the internet, but more just the effect that it has on just everyday life around the entire world. And that's relating for both the positive and the very large amount of negative on the app. My dad recently sent me an article relating the Tower of Babel to Twitter and kind of social media in the last 2 years, and I thought it was really interesting. For those unfamiliar with the Tower of Babel, it was a structure created by the Babylonians, kind of in their efforts to reach heaven in a way. And this was said to be before there were multiple languages, so they were all speaking one language. After God strikes down the tower, they all speak different languages, so that kind of tries to explain the different languages in the world. It's a really good story that kind of speaks of the immense amount of pride that humans can have and what they think they can accomplish with their efforts. And what this article is saying is that after the kind of the initial boom of social media, it seems that many Americans and many people across the world just can't seem to speak the same language, or can't seem to see eye to eye, or really understand what we're trying to accomplish. And what I think seems to be happening in today's world, even more on Twitter, is that each of these different languages that seem to have all branched off are all building sort of their own towers in themselves, where everyone has such immense amounts of pride and immense amounts of just ignorance almost, where they feel like that everything they're doing is perfect and justified, and any means to silence or get rid of any other opinions is necessary. They feel so inclined to think that they're correct and that there's no possibility that they're wrong. And you don't have to believe in a higher power or in a God to recognize that today, with every group thinking that they are correct, you don't have to believe in God to just recognize that if we are all one unified group that's willing to accept others' opinions, that we could simply do better, that we were better back before all of this fracturing seems to have occurred. It's gone to childish levels where one grown adult can't just accept that another grown adult has opinions that differ from them. It either results in a block or it results in another tweet responding to them, just all pissed off, acting like it's the end of the world, that this person likes this president or this person doesn't approve of this president. I understand that it would be nice if everyone shared the same exact opinions as you, but it's just not like that in the world. It's just you wouldn't do that in the real world. If someone likes a different coffee than you on Twitter, it seems that that's the next world war is about to occur. But it wouldn't happen in real life. And this is just one of the side effects of the anonymity of being online, is because you will say just the most rash things in response to the most minute opinion online, because what do you have to lose? It's like you're not going to get a punch to the face. And I'm going to bring it back to video games just for a second here, and I'm just going to bring it back to about 2 years ago when on Twitter some lady posted that she had like a certain haircut. I think it was like Afro buns or something on Animal Crossing, and she posted her character, and her character wasn't black, which I guess is a cause for outrage nowadays, because there was a lot of responses in the comments about being culturally culturally offensive, and that since she wasn't black, she couldn't have it. And that that I think just kind of sums up what I'm trying to say. Apparently, these pixels on a screen in a video game that affect absolutely no one are cause for the amount of backlash that seemed to occur from all of these people that don't suffer for having that happen. They don't gain anything for throwing all these insults at this person. It's just absolute nonsense. And most of this just goes back to people belittling each other because either they're not satisfied with their own life or they're just jealous of the other person. Because if you're really someone who's found themselves, someone who's successful, someone who is on top of the world, are you really going to care about the hairstyle that someone in a video game, probably across the world from you, has? If you're an intelligent being, well, really, you don't even have to have a brain to understand that is just ridiculous. And when this really does get scary is when the people running these apps, running these huge social media apps that amass billions of accounts, it's when they start thinking they know what's right for the country. They start thinking they know what's right for the world. So then they start enacting their policies unevenly. They start banning people they don't agree with. And it's really just, it can start to, I think this is what just starts to divide groups of people into even smaller groups of people until we really are just all just fighting each other and mad. And this is just really what these companies want, is because they profit more off of people fighting each other and people being mad because there's just simply more interaction. It's going to take a lot more, or it's going to take a lot less for people to come back if they are in a fight with someone in a comment section than it is if they receive a compliment. Because how far can one compliment take a user? Maybe 2 or 3 messages, a quick thank you back. But with a fight, you could go on for years between people, and the funny part is literally nothing will happen. It's just taking advantage of humans, just their humans' psyche, and it's honestly pretty predatory in my opinion. It's taking advantage of people who might just not know better, and I really think it's just a gross, disgusting thing. One of the biggest thing with Twitter in the last few years, I know it's existed before that, but it's mainly gone rampant in the last few years, and that's kind of the whole canceling and banning of people. And I know it's a really controversial topic. I don't want to get too political or anything, but it is something of note when Twitter, and I get Twitter's a private company and they can do whatever they want. It's really up to them. I get that. But that's where double standards come in. And I think it's kind of ridiculous when our own president that we voted into office gets banned for, I forgot exactly what it was. Just I think it might have been the whole January 6th or spread of misinformation or whatever. When he gets banned, which I feel shouldn't happen because he was the president of the United States. I feel like that's ridiculous. But then when there are actual Taliban spokesmen who are not banned, such as I'm really gonna butcher these names, but Suhail Sheikhi, I think that's how you pronounce it. So when who's not banned, an actual spokesman for the terrorist organization, the Taliban, is not banned, but someone like Andrew Tate, who might be a pretty toxic person, when it gets banned, I think that's just absolutely garbage. The whole point of a democratic country like we are, a democratic republic, is it's based around freedom and people's own ability to weed out bad opinions and people's own ability to weed out BS. And that's what our country is built on. And I think when you take away that option of people making their own decisions and people having their own judgment, I think that's more fascist than anything Trump's ever done. I think it's just garbage. And again, I'm not siding with anything that Trump was banned for. I'm not siding with anything Andrew Tate has done. I think they both have their flaws, but all I'm saying is that it's just it's just taking people's voices away, and I think that should be up to the people whether or not they want to weed out people that are being toxic or whatever. I think it would be a lot easier and a lot more fair if people really wanted to stop listening to people like Andrew Tate or Donald Trump, if we just came together as a people and said, hey, screw these guys. Let's not talk to them anymore. Let's not listen to anything they have to say. Boom, problem solved. It's just when there's these blatant double standards, I just really think that's just unethical. Sorry, this one kind of went off the rails a bit. I've just been so fed up with I've just been so fed up with like Twitter and all that stuff. And I know many people have too. So I know this isn't my usual video, so thank you for listening to the end. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want.